are back once again. This is No Huntsville, and once again we have the Mayor Tommy Battle in here. This is our extended web version. We have a little more time to ask some more questions. I also again want to thank our sponsors, Yellowhammer, and yes, all right, we'll do that. And also sponsor MVP Bar and Grill, Sports Bar and Grill down South Parkway. We always want to give it up to them. So let's get right into some questions. We did we asked the Facebook some questions. We have a really good one here. So, if elected, what are some of the plans you have to employ technology and infrastructure to keep Huntsville relevant?
You know, I think one of the most important things we've got to realize is that we have to attract the young people who know the technology and are the drivers in the technologies, the millennials, Generation X, Generation Y, whatever generation you want to get to. Right. But we've got to attract them. To attract them, you know, the best and brightest in that field, they all have a lot of choices. They have choices. They can move to Atlanta, they can move to Boston, they can move to the East Coast, West Coast.
Bigger cities, right?
Yeah, and so we've got to make sure that we have some things to offer them that they can't find there. You know, urban infill is one of the things. You know, Twickenham was probably one of the best urban infill developments that we've had so far, and we've got 2 more coming up in the downtown area.
Right.
Plus the idea that when you're in the downtown area, you know, you're 3 miles away from being able to walk on trails or do trail biking or go up to Montesano Park, which you're within 5 minutes of, that some of these other bigger cities can't do that.
Right.
And they don't have that opportunity. They don't have the opportunity of having an 18-minute commute to work and from work. They have an hour commute to work from work, and you start thinking about that. That's 2 hours a day that you're in your car. If you got you know an extra hour, 24 minutes a day of your life back, what are you going to do with it? Can you go work out? Can you be on the greenways? Can you go to the parks? Can you, can you just have some time to chill out? But all that is what we've got to do to bring in the millennials and the crowd who will continue to help us grow. Over the years, we've always had some of the best and brightest come in. You know, for when I first moved here, it was Intergraph was attracting them, then AdTrend was attracting them, then Digium was attracting them, and we have to have the technology, companies that are at the very cusp of what's being developed. And right. Hudson Alpha is one of those that's coming out right now, but there are some others that are coming out too, which I think puts us on the cusp of being able to attract the best and the brightest. And if we have that, what we call quality of life to tie to it, then they'll come. They'll be part of this community.
Right, and since we are a technology city, it's hard to keep up with that, right? Yeah. I mean, that's the difficult part. It's not like something else. The technology is continually changing, and it's really tough to keep up with that. Right?
You look at the technology that's changed in the last 30 years.
Right.
You've gone from laptop computers to computers on your phone, and you've gone a long ways. And attracting the best and brightest. The best and brightest are job multipliers. They're people who come in and they provide for jobs for others as they come in because they've developed something that has to have product and has to have company, has to have people to develop it, and to sell it. And and those kind of jobs are, quite frankly, they're good paying jobs.
Yeah.
When we bring in people into Research Park or in the high technology in the areas or Hudson Alpha, it's an average $100,000 a year job, which is a very good average to have when you're attracting business. It gives you.
Plus, we're not living in California where the cost of living is so high. We're living in the South here where the $100,000 goes a lot further in a lot of places. So
we use this in our efforts to bring in industry all the time. We send them that article from AL.com that Boeing saved $100 million a year off of bringing their Center for Engineering Technology to Huntsville rather than having it in Seattle.
Right.
Just because of the cost of living and the cost of what it costs you for your employees.
We talked to Henry about that. He's in Seattle right now. So just to get an apartment there is amazingly expensive.
Really expensive. And then for a business to make money, their fixed costs. Our fixed costs, average rental rate in Huntsville is $17 a square foot. Average rental rate in the U.S. is $23 a square foot.
Right.
If you look at the other fixed costs, property tax, maintenance, et cetera, energy costs, we're probably 60% of the national average. And so when you look at that, it makes it very easy for a company to say, if I want to be profitable, I can come here. And if I'm going to be competing against others, and as I compete in those contracts, my contract can be less because my costs are less in Huntsville, Alabama.
So for those reasons, that's how we can stay above it. That's how we can stay attractive.
This is exactly how we have to stay attractive. Right now we're looking seriously at what are we going to do with Research Park, 50-year-old park. research parks have kind of changed in what they do
It's
nowadays.
like the second largest research park in the country,
Second
right?
largest research park in the country, largest concentration of engineers and degreed professionals per capita than anywhere else in the U.S.
Right.
And so how do we make it more attractive? And, and we're taking some of the lessons that we learned from downtown Huntsville with the urban infills and applying those to Research Park. If we do an urban infill at Madison Square Mall and have a place where you can live and have high-end apartments which are fully rigged out with all your electronics and everything, and you can go to a restaurant there and you have an entertainment there, and then you can ride your bike or you can walk to work in Research Park. Is that attractive, and is that attractive to our future generations?
Sure, yeah.
And by the way, redoing Madison Square Mall also helps me with my retail corridor, which is that 72 retail corridor, and it kind of is the center point of that retail corridor, all the way from the Parkway all the way out to County Line Road. So
something needs to be done with that mall.
Yeah, and if we can recapture that mall and make it into something that is an attribute to both Research Park and to that retail corridor, then that makes a lot of sense for us.
Well, you mentioned a little bit about downtown. I want to pivot a little bit here. So we see a lot of, and we're going to have Chad Emerson on next, right?
Okay,
So
good.
Downtown Huntsville, Inc. We see a lot of money and a lot of resources and a lot of time and effort and put into downtown. So what about my friends? What about the business owners that we know in the South and the North? And they're wondering, where's the love? Is there going to be a Chad Emerson for the South, for the North? So talk to me a little bit about some plans that would make people feel about when they're all the way down south.
Yeah, I think one of the things everybody's got to realize is that we're putting money into every section of town.
Okay.
We put money into downtown with doing streetscapes down there and doing the new parks and the retail projects. But every one of those retail projects have a 3-year payback on them. So that's a pretty good payback on a retail project.
All right.
You look down south, we're doing overpasses down there, which are about $50 million, just bid overpasses, Lily Flag, Bird Springs. We're doing the new high school, which is $60 million. We're redoing the old Grissom High School, which is another, $20 million. And so we're doing some number of projects there. Look up north.
Let me ask you real quick, will the new Grissom have windows? We have some Grissom graduates here, right? Anybody? Will they have windows? Will there be light coming into our education? Please tell me.
The new Grissom, I believe, will have windows.
Oh, well, I'm very excited about that.
But
all right, go ahead.
If you look up north, we're doing the overpass at Maston Lake, which is a $40 million overpass. We're doing a northern bypass, which is another $50 million. We're doing schools at Jemison and McNair, which is another $60 million. We're redoing AAA, which is another $12 million. And we've just put in a new police precinct, which is $2.2 million. So, they're getting their share. Then you look out west. We've just, for the western area, for the eastern area, Hampton Cove and all in there, we've just redone Governor's Drive in 2 phases, which was $32 million straight up.
That drive over the mountain's beautiful, though.
Yeah,
It's really easy.
Beautiful drive. But we had to do something to get the traffic over and back, and it's mainly at 8 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon.
Okay.
But we had to do something to get that traffic through that medical district. And then out west, we're doing Martin Road, Zert Road, Highway 565, numerous developments out to the west. So I think everybody has to realize that everybody's getting something out of this, and it's one big ball of wax. You can't put all your money into one area. You've got to spread it out to all the areas. But there'll be one year that one area will get more. The next year, somebody else will get more.
So everybody's just got to be a little patient.
Love for everybody.
Just chill out. Yeah. So we got to tell everybody. Right? All right. So let's talk about. Yeah, exactly. So another subject, and I think I've read a little bit about some background on it. So talk to me about. I know a lot of people are interested in this. Tell me about Uber in Huntsville.
Uber in Huntsville.
So I saw there was 2 grants. No, that was for the other thing. Okay, so talk to me about what the thoughts are with Uber.
We have been working with Uber ever since they came and said, hey, we want to be part of your community, because and we thought that we had everything out there about 2 or 3 times that they needed to have to be able to move forward. And the last thing they're down to is, I think, background checks on their drivers.
Right.
And if they do background checks on their drivers and they can show that they've done background checks, hey, we're ready to go. because I'd personally like to have Uber here.
Right.
And Lyft is, everybody says that Lyft is just as good as Uber. If you want to do Lyft, it's just not as well known. So either one of them, having the process here and having the ability to be here. The question mark now to me is, since we've been able to give them everything they want, they haven't started up, does the business model work here?
Okay.
And that's what we've got to find out, because having a way to get from home to somewhere else and do it easily, that's a great part of your transportation system. And we wish that we had enough money to do have buses everywhere, trolleys everywhere, and have light rail, but light rail costs you $20 million a mile, so that's probably not going to happen. So we're looking for however we can do the transportation systems that are the easiest.
But you're behind it. You're
Oh
fully
yeah,
behind it.
we would love to have it.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, everybody who's used it in other cities.
Do they do background checks on regular cab drivers? I mean, I've
Yeah.
driven with some weirdos.
Yeah, and you go, wow.
I thought I should be driving them sometimes. Yeah, it's weird.
All right, so another common question that people have is about the Huntsville Greenways,
Yeah.
right? So and I tried to look up something on it, and I couldn't find anything current on it. So tell me about the future for the Greenway. Real question I have is, will the Greenways eventually be all connected?
Yeah. I mean,
Wow,
that's our ultimate.
Right,
Ultimately
right.
get everything connected. We've got little pieces here, pieces there. We've got 124 miles of greenways that are planned out for the city of Huntsville. And out of those, we built about 20 miles
20
of
some,
it.
yeah, I was gonna say, right.
So it's not a lot, but every year we put money back into Greenway and Greenway production. It comes probably close to $1 million a year back into Greenway and be able to build more greenways. And as we see an opportunity to grab a piece, we do. One of the places that we're looking at really seriously is the whole rail line that goes from, really comes into North Huntsville and comes all the way down to Ditto Landing. And could we get portions of that right away and do it? And we're stuck at a couple little places where the right-of-way is narrower than the 500 feet that is in most of it.
Oh, okay,
but if we
right.
can get that to work, boy, that would give us a continuous greenway to go, all the way from north of downtown all the way down to Ditto Landing.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah,
That would
that would
be
be really
wonderful.
cool.
There's your marathon races right there, right?
Yeah.
Not my marathon.
Not trying. You're not gonna be doing
Not
that.
mine either.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, if he connects them, then you'll do it, right?
I won't have an excuse.
All right, another question we have, and I think I've seen it now in a couple counties surrounding us, are police body cams.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So and this is what I was kind of referring to before. There was two proposals put forward. One was a grant, a federal grant,
Yeah.
right?
We
And
went
then-
for a federal grant and did not get the grant.
Right. So I didn't know that.
No,
The only thing I read was that we went for it, but
Yeah, we went for it and we were turned down on the grant, but we're going to fund body cams one way or the other.
Okay.
The big question is, there's a couple of questions. Number one, what's your policy on body cams?
because you got to be a whole bunch of rules behind it when you turn
Yeah.
it on, when you turn it off, and stuff like that.
When you
right?
turn it on, when you turn it off, well, who's accessible to and everything. When city of Seattle started it, they had somebody who came in under Freedom of Information Act and asked for all the footage that was ever
think I
shot
remember
on
reading
body
something about
cams for the past 10 years. And I mean, it's something that almost breaks the city to provide that kind of capability to somebody, and they ended up hiring the guy to come redact their
I totally
their
remember
tape to
reading
do
that.
it.
Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
that? But policy on how we're going to do it. Does everybody who has a car wreck, do they get to use body cam, or
Okay.
how that happens? Second thing is your storage, because the storage is really that's
be huge.
a lot.
Video
of
is a lot
storage.
takes up a lot of
Yeah,
space.
it takes up a lot of space,
Sure.
and you got to think you've got 350 policemen out there, and they're working 8 hours a day, and all that storage.
It's a lot of footage.
We're trying to figure out that, and also figure out how to tie it to our mounts in our cars. If you
Okay.
now we have cameras in every car, so as a camera comes up, it has sound with it. When we make a stop, it shows pretty much the picture of what's going on. The body cam, if you had it and the camera, it would give you almost a lot more
Get a complete
information.
picture of an incident or
Yeah.
something like that, right?
So, I think everybody's for body cam. We've just got to figure out the mechanics of it and how to do it. And And it's going to be, between 600,000 to 1.2 million, but we've made a commitment that we're going to do that.
I think that's great. I think it's an important
Good
thing
for
to do.
both sides too.
I really think, and the cops especially, because a lot of people falsely accuse them, and then on the other side as well.
It helps my officers so much. I mean, there's so many cases that people come in and say, well, they were ugly to me, they did this or that, and then you can show them the picture of what actually happened from the car cam, and we've been able to show it to them, and they've said, "Oh, okay, thank you."
Never mind.
Never mind. Yeah, and my officers just need that protection also. I mean, they're very, I've ridden with them on nights, and right after all this stuff came out, I made sure, recently I rode with them again and went with every shift. And those guys don't ever get a call for somebody to come over and say, hey, I baked you some cookies, and we're glad to see what you're doing. Thank you for the job you're doing. Every time they get a call, it's to something where somebody's a husband and wife have been in a dispute, or we're worried about my son who might be shooting himself, and we're worried about this, that, and other.
High stress situations,
Definitely high
always.
stress.
Every one of them. And it's a tough life to live that kind of life.
And so the body cams will help toward that.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing that throughout the nation. It's going toward that way, and hopefully that'll happen here. I'm excited that you're behind it, and I'm hoping that that happens here really soon. I think it's a great idea.
It will. It'll probably take a year to phase in, but we'll be able to phase in the first stage, which will be our guys who are on the streets. And as we phase them in, we'll probably do a precinct to start with, and then phase the rest of them in, then phase in some of the other guys too, the investigators and everybody.
Very good. Well, Mr. Mayor, I really appreciate you coming in. Like I said, I know you're an important guy. You got lots of stuff to do. I really appreciate you taking some time with us today. Answered all of our questions. It was very nice.
Oh, good.
Check us out on knowhuntsville.com. Everybody, please give it up for the mayor. So again, check us out on knowhuntsville.com to watch this version. And John, take it.